robbed. I didn't get to say goodbye to Tony. I didn't get to tell him that one last time how much I loved him.
Dr. Frieda, how do people deal with this level of grief?
Yeah, first of all, people should know that this is highly individual. This is specific to you, the way that you're going to grieve, and that there's no single right way to get through this grieving process. And many people think that that's true, and it's just not. Yeah. The other thing that's really important is people don't know some of the emotions that are going to come at them. It may be a whole range of them, everything from anger to denial to shock to depression. And these emotions can come at you in any order and at any time.
Yeah. You know, most people are able to endure a tragedy and eventually get to a new normal. But what about those that can't seem to get there?
Estimates are that about 10% of people who are going through grieving end up having a more severe form, something that we now have come to call a complicated grief or grief depression. People who are experiencing this may have more severe symptoms and for an extended period of time. Things like extreme sadness, feelings of isolation, feelings of depression. They may feel hopelessness. In addition to that, they may take on an irrational blame for the death or the loss of their loved one. And other symptoms may include sleep disturbances, an increased use in tobacco and alcohol, and difficulty in functioning in work situations and social situations, with relationships, and sometimes even in tasks of daily living like getting to the grocery store. Many people who grieve have a sense that maybe I don't want to go on without my loved one. I've lost my will to live. But people with this complicated grief may have persistent thoughts of suicide. It's important, if those thoughts occur, it is time to get immediate help.
Well, also understand there can be physical effects associated with particularly this prolonged grief.
A study suggests that someone who has had a significant loss of a loved one has a 21 times greater risk of having a heart attack in the first 24 hours after the death of that loved one. Yeah. And another study suggests that there's an increased risk of heart attack and stroke in the first month after the loss of a loved one.
What are some strategies for dealing with grief?
So I think one of the most important ones is knowing that you are going to work through some pain. The second would be that some of these emotions that we talked about are going to be coming at you at different times and in different ways, and they may quite take you by surprise. You should also know that you're going to uniquely work your way through this. No one is going to tell you exactly how to do it because it's going to be different for everyone. And then last but not least, there's a point at which you can and should ask for help. If your grief is too deep or overwhelming, as you described, or if the experience is lasting too long. And then the other thing that I think is really important is not forget that physical part. Talk to your doctor about the fact that you're grieving. Ask them to help you monitor any medical conditions that you may have. Stay on your prescribed treatments and medications as your doctor is supporting you too. And then don't forget the basics. I know they're hard to think about at a time like this, but eating right, getting as much sleep as you can, and trying to stay as active and get a little bit of exercise to try and stay healthy during this time.
For many people, it's hard to accept that a future without your loved one is your new reality. Support groups and professional counseling can be really valuable. Grief is not a mental illness, but if you're struggling with it, don't hesitate to ask for help. And a place to start, in my opinion, is gethealthystayhealthy.com. Robin and I love this website because it's trusted information on so many topics.
Of course, while you're there, you can